threatened with weapons to my head and things like that.
So how did
what did he say to you? And are you a spy? And they were just acting paranoid. No, I wasn't a spy. I just shoved him into the Stargate and he went bye-bye. And that's essentially what happened.
How did Majestic react after that to you?
Very angry, including the people with whom I'm the closest, save the one present. Very angry toward me.
And how do they act? How does Majestic act when it's angry? I guess this gets back to haven't you been tortured? I mean, isn't this right?
I don't call it torture, aside from the fact that I've been falsely imprisoned. That's torture. I was, for a couple periods of time, put at S4 in level 3 and basically told that's where you are for now.
Level 3 meaning, was it a cell?
No, it was one of the rooms, one of the small suites, if you will, which were originally put in. There's 12 of them in this trident. There's 3 groups of 4, and I was put in Bay Unit 1 over to the left, and it was essentially, it contained all the amenities. I could ask for food, got anything I wanted, except for I couldn't leave. There was no freedom. I consider that torture. The other items are acts of unkindness. And acts of unkindness from Majestic can range from everything from psychological unkindness, being rude to you, to being threatening, to being physically harmful. And I have been beaten, I have been slapped, I have been physically restrained, meaning handcuffed, and beaten and slapped. I have been put under lights. Well, hell, I had friends doing that to me. But I had, put under intense lights and while being handcuffed, as in interrogated. I have been told to shut my mouth to the point where 2 people grabbed me. One shoved me down onto the floor of a garage, and the other one stomped on and broke my hand.
So, and these were the members of Majestic that carried out these attacks? In other words, they didn't hire someone?
Not the J numbers. These are operatives.
Operatives.
As in security personnel, yeah.
I see. So not the 1 through 12, but
people that work for none of them have laid an unkind hand on me ever. Great affection, if anything, out of them.
But they were under orders.
Again, one can show great affection to a pet.
So you were viewed as a pet by some of them, but you were also mistreated on their orders?
I'm not saying I was viewed as a pet. I'm saying I don't know what they're truly carrying in their hearts, in their minds. And so there exists a possibility that affection can be granted either honestly or disingenuously. It can be granted person to person on the same level, or as an act of condescending.
Well, let's back up a tiny bit.
Well, she brought up the name Tenet. George Tenet. Oh, I better watch my mouth.
Mm-hmm. That's the way I hit the name.
I just started talking here too much.
I know.
George Tenet was a former director of Central Intelligence for the United States of America. Now we're moving on.
Okay. But what you were saying about Majestic has got me interested.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're basically saying that Majestic is operating as independent of the government. Is that correct? Or are they operating under the...
Yes and no. They were set independent of direct presidential authority as far back as the late 40s. However, there's more than one individual who has set as a member of the 12, who are intimately involved with the United States government to include its highest levels.
Okay, and so those people were actually...
Okay, it's time to put the tap dancing shoes on.
Okay, those people were actually ordering you to be, as a result, let's say, of this, sort of overstepping the line, pushing J-Rod into the Stargate. They were ordering you to be sequestered, to be beaten or harmed in some way?
By the time that happened, all the beatings happened prior to that. By the time that happened, there was basically, they didn't know what to do with me. It took everybody so by surprise. Me too. What I did. They didn't know what to do. And so they really didn't. I mean, I got hauled around there at the site for a while, and I got hauled back here to the U.S., but I was basically, after that, just told to go home. They didn't know what to do.
So is this why you've been released from Majestic, is because of this incident?
No. It was coming near the end of my time, my usefulness, basically, anyway, aside from being almost an elder statesman with them, because I'd been around for like 20 years. My physical condition has gotten worse. I'm not well, physically. So I would not be of any use inside of a laboratory.
Okay, but why is there... I understand that there's been some kind of adjournment.
There has been.
And now there's a new body, and it's not going to be comprised of the same people as the old body.
True.
So why? Why have they changed members? What's the motivation?
There's a switchover between two secret societies going on. One is handing reins over to the other, and it has been long planned. However, it's not been long known by me, but it's been long planned, probably decades. I'm certain it has to have been for decades.
So Majestic is ruled by a secret society, is what you're saying?
Well, Majestic has been the most famous, next to probably the Freemasons, secret society of itself. And there are many of the Freemasons who inhabit the Majestic as a consequence of their relationships. The two things are happening at the same time. And so their philosophies then, the philosophies of these associated secret societies like the Scottish Rite and the York Rite, are then imparted into the secret society known as the Majestic.
So what's the quarrel between...
Because you bring who you are to wherever you are.
Sure. But what's the quarrel between, say, the Majestic Society or group and the Illuminati?
That is a real good, and it's the best question to be asked. Even more importantly than the differences between the J-Rods, because this impacts us, I think, now. Many members of the upper echelon, and I don't mean the hard-working people who work on construction sites, for God's sakes, but many people who are in the upper echelon of the Masonic movement, both York and Scottish Rite, have accepted a philosophy which is Luciferian in context and history. Many of the people who are not directly then involved with the Majestic, who are also associated with that Luciferian philosophy, have rubbed up against each other for decades, probably even longer. So somewhere along the line in history there was a schism between those individuals who have accepted a Luciferian history, Luciferian philosophy, mixed with other secret society people who have not, that ended up in the Majestic, and people who have accepted a Luciferian, almost like a different